there is a lot of anxiety and there is a lot of things that are churning into the child, where the child is not able to cope up with those things. And the last but not the least, we're going to be also talking about how to take direction in life, that now the results are out, and yes, the CBSE results are just around the corner. How are you actually going to be taking the right direction for the child, so that the child in future is really prospering, is really passionate about what he's really doing? Okay, so it's going to be a very interactive sessions. I don't like me just speaking and you just listening. I would be putting it across where you can put down your questions at the end of one section, so that if anything needs to be clarified or anything that you have in mind, we can cover it up during that time, and then we move on to the next section. Yeah, so is everyone ready for a wonderful, interesting Saturday morning with your kids to kind of better their life? Okay, so as you know that the students have already given exams, the results are out. First of all, are each one of you really happy with how the results have come in, or there are any things that you feel that that was not up to the level or the expectation that you really wanted from your child, right? You as parents is would have supported your child for everything. You would have supported your child for the results that you have desired. You would have supported your child for all the hard work that the child has done. But let's be very clear that all the efforts ultimately has been put by the child, right? So are you really happy to see what has come out? Are you really feeling that, oh my god, my child didn't really do well, he could have done much better, he had the potential to do it, or she had the potential to really cope up, but you know what, she wasted time, and blah blah blah, and the story goes on, right? So that is something that as parents, can you really think of how you have been commenting to your children, how you have been talking to your children, and plus how you have actually been able to support your child when the results have come. First thing, when the results have come, what was the first thing that you did? Did you acknowledge your child? You all can raise your hands also, that did you acknowledge your child for whatever results the child has come across? Can I see some hands raised? Okay, I'm seeing some hands raised. Good job. Did you even acknowledge your child that with the efforts that you have put in, with the efforts that you have studied with, okay, whatever was possible, you have got your result? The first step to even really feel that your child has done and achieved something at the end of the result, right, at the end of the exams, is something that that requires the child, or that makes the child actually feel that yes, my parents have acknowledged them, my parents have seen what I have done, my parents have seen what I have gone through. And that is when the child feels more accomplished, that okay, I have been observed, I have been noticed. Okay, it was not just one exam that I have been passing through, but my parents were there to support me. After the acknowledgement, did you even celebrate whatever the results were? Did you even celebrate what was there? And celebrate this achievement of yours, that you have achieved one milestone. Okay, so that is something that you really need to do. Celebrate those very, very small moments or even the big achievements in life with your child, so that you can actually, the child feels that yes, I belong here, and everyone in this my family people are actually being there for my support. Okay, the other thing is, did your child actually even support, or did your child enjoy the celebration part? Did your child enjoy the celebration part that was there? Yeah. So, or the child was feeling low, the child was over the top, or the child was feeling that, okay, what am I supposed to do which will enhance or make my parents happy? Was the child feeling guilty at any point of time? Did the child feel guilty that my parents are not really happy with whatever results have been coming up? Did the child really feel guilty about it, or the child is really feel that yes, I have achieved something? Now all this is done during the first part of, once the results are out, and during this 1 hour that you have spent time with your child. After that, did you even actually ask that, what was that one quality that you used, that you could have you achieved this result of yours? That is really important, because that will make the child feel that, know about their strengths, know about what was that internal quality that the child really focused on. Because when we talk about giving constructive feedback, because this part of the seminar is actually about giving constructive feedback, for that you need to really understand what the child is going through, what the child is really capable of, or what the child has, either the child feels that he has used the potential, or the child doesn't even feel that he has used his own potential about it, right? Then did you even ask what is the methodology that you used for this exam, and are you happy with the methodology and the result that has come in? Because when you ask that question, you're not only putting your child down, or you're not only putting your child, you're not putting your child down that, I told you to study like this, I was telling you to, not watch TV, I was telling you not to, go out with your friends, I was telling you not to waste time on your mobile phone or anything. But you are actually getting it out from the child that what was the methodology you used, how did you use it, and finally that you have got the results. Are you really happy with it? Because that is going to enhance the way the child takes the next step, and that is what is going to make the child feel important, or that is what is going to make the child feel that yes, whatever I have done, I take the responsibility. I do this thing, and it's my responsibility with whatever has happened. Right? So the minute you ask it, what was the methodology, what was that one quality that you utilized, it gives a lot of thought process to the child, to each person there, that yes, I have to use it, and maybe it was correct, maybe it was wrong. If the child has achieved what he desired for, then definitely the certain methodologies that have been utilized are there, are completely there, right? But if the child is not really happy with the results that have come in, then the child is really not happy with the methodology somewhere. But rather than we telling them that this was wrong, this is not supposed to happen like this was not supposed to kind of go your way, you didn't do this, you didn't do this, all the pointing fingers that we really do to our children, it's not going to go a very long way. Because now is the time that they start really getting so independent in their own thinking, and the minute we put them down, they feel that, oh my god, this is like the end of life. Okay, another question is what you ask, the parents is like, you ask the children basically, is that what is that need from me as a parent that you will need, so that you can be consistent or you can do well in your exams. So as a parent, did you even ask that one question, that what is it that you expect from me? Do you want me to wake you up, or did you want me to kind of, uh, remind you, or did you want me to kind of do a mock session with you, or did you want me to take up some things, for you? Because this is something where the child had required support, but the child has not got. Okay, and that is what we really need to think, that okay, one exam is done, one result has come, but there are so many more exams or so many more results that are going to come in, right? And at least, if not now, can we shift, can we create a shift in our lives, and can we create a shift in the way we deal with our children, right? And that is what is very, very important, because that is what is going to enhance the way you will be able to bond with your child over the times. Okay, so these are certain guidelines that you do when you actually look at a very constructive feedback, right? This section about this webinar, what we're talking about is, giving constructive feedback to your child in a way where the child has achieved the results the child wanted, or the child has not achieved the results. So it need not be that, the child has done well and you're like, okay, hang on, just go on with the way that you've been doing. It could be that there is something that you can correct. It could be that there is something that you can really reflect on. It could be that there is something that you can, improve on to make the child more equipped to handle exams, to handle stress, and so that once the exams and the stress is handled, the results are anyways going to get better. So before I go to my next section of, building the self-confidence and the self-esteem of the child, there are certain questions that I am seeing here. I would like to just answer them. That there is somebody's asked me, many say that the correction by board authorities would be a little liberal. Is that true? I would only say that as a child or as a parent, let's not look at what the board or, the authorities outside us are doing. Okay, the minute we give our best, the minute we work towards it, things are definitely going to reduce stress. Okay, so that's not something which we need to really focus on, because the authorities, you really don't know who checks the papers, how they are checked. But if we are confident that, you've studied, it really makes a long way, because the mind is tuned that way. Okay, I have a question from Khushi's phone. What is the best way to go about studying? So Khushi, as a parenting coach and as a counselor, and at Building Blocks of Life, we do a lot of these personality. We are into complete personality development. We actually look at the style of the student. That there are different learning styles that a student has. Okay, and each student will have a different learning style. So I cannot say that there is just one way of the learning style, okay, or one way a child can learn, right? But yes, a child will have a very, very specific way of learning. So it is very different from each child. So if one child can really mug up things and can really say that he makes his own notes, but the other child would be studying maybe with some music, or making songs with the studies that they are doing. Or another child would actually make sit down and make like visual charts, or make pictures and diagrams and everything, right? So every child is unique, and every child has a unique study pattern. But yes, when at Building Blocks, when we do different assessments for child, we identify what is the learning style of the child, how does the child think, Okay, and so that whatever he learns and whatever he delivers is more long term. So I would not say about what is the best way of studying, because I don't see it as just one way of studying. Every child would be studying in a different way. So you can maybe think that what is the most prominent thing that the child would be doing, and if the child is remembering it, or maybe is able to recall it in that time, or may and produce it after a period of time, then that's the study pattern the child can continue with. But if the child is not able to recall, or has to go back and forth for the same thing, then that's not the study pattern for the child. The style and the way the child studies needs to be changed. Okay, are there any questions regarding the feedback, or what we just spoke about, before I go to my next section of building the self-esteem and the self-confidence in children after the results are out? That is the time when we actually put down the child in a very, very bad way. Is there any other questions? Yeah, I have one more question, is which is a better way of learning? So Pranay, the only thing that I could say is again the same thing, that each child is unique, because if you look at yourself also, you would be learning in one way when any new piece of information is given. But if you look at your child, or if you look at your the way the child is learning, it would be very different. So right now there is a very high possibility that we want to impose our learning style. That when I used to learn, I used to sit down in one place. I used to kind of get up early in the morning. I used to, kind of do things beforehand, before the world wakes up. Or I was a very late person in the night. I used to study. So all these were some styles which worked for you. But the minute we start imposing on the child, and the child does it, but does not really get successful in it, then I'm sorry, then that's not the way the child is really learning for it. Okay, so that is something which you really need to understand. There is no better way or the best way, but where the child can cope up, where the child can remember, where the child feels at ease, or even where the child willingly wants to study. Okay, if the child willingly wants to get back to studies, he is doing or she is doing the right way, because that is when the mind and the brain accepts new information much faster than what it was. Okay, so those are certain signs. But otherwise, yes, when we work with one-on-one with kids, and with certain counseling things, it can be changed, and it can be synced in the way they really think. Yeah. Okay, so let's go to the next part of our webinar, where we talk about the self-confidence and the self-esteem of the child. Because I see, with my interaction from 13 years with over, say, thousands of parents and thousands of children, I see that the self-confidence in them is very good at a time when they have to give their when they have to kind of study or anything. But the minute they come back, after an exam, they feel that they have done something wrong, or they have done, or they are not really confident of what it is, and they are not really confident of the results also which come in, right? And so that is why it would be there that that this part of it would be something where we need to really work on. Okay, so let's talk about a little bit of self-esteem, and talk about it, that how we can increase it, how we can really work towards it, and how we can really enhance it to such a level that each child benefits out of it. So what happens when you really label the child that you're dumb, you don't know anything, you will never do good, all that hard work has gone down the brain, gone down the drain, kind of a thing. Okay, so all those comments or all those things really don't go well with after the way the results have come in, or the way the child really thinks of it, because they feel that whatever I've done, I've never been confident. And on top of it, the child feels that, okay, my authority figures have also told me that I'm dumb. Okay, so if you really think about it, the minute the self-confidence or the belief in their own self is low, can a child really perform? Can a child really deal with so many things? Because when we start labeling that you're not focused, you are dumb, you're not giving your best, you didn't do well, you had all the time on earth for that 1 year, but you didn't study well. Okay, what are we doing? We're just going back to what was not really required, right? The results are out. This is the time to actually build it again, that okay, whatever has happened, let's move forward, let's move to better it up right now, right? And appreciate that what the child is, because when we work with our assessments, or when we do assessments in children, right, this is something that we look at. And when we work with parents, or when we work with children, we actually work with the self-esteem of the child at building blocks of life, right? So we had certain parents who used to tell, my child doesn't listen to me, he doesn't study during just the exam times. Okay, and that was the time when we really had a sit down with the child. We really had a sit down with the parent, that what is going on at home, the environment, or what is going on, that the child is not really able to do that. And that is what is something which the child is feeling low, right? So self-confidence or self-belief is really, really, you need to kind of develop it time and again. Okay, and if you're not able to do that, yes, please take any professional support, because this is what creates the foundation. If the child does not believe in himself, anywhere he goes, any word, anything he does, it is not going to really create a change in his life. Okay, so yes, I have certain questions again, which says that what is the best routine that we can follow, study routine that we can follow to score good marks. So if I look at it, a study routine should be done in sync with the child, in sync with what the child is. Okay, in sync with what the child's capabilities are. Because if you tell the child that you have to get up early in the morning, and the child is not a morning person, he is not the person who wakes up early and studies, the routine does not work. Okay, we kind of force our routines to children. We kind of force that, okay, this worked for me and this is good for you, but every child is different. Okay, so if you have to follow a routine or follow something what the child will benefit, I would really say that, okay, break it up. Every 20 to 25 minutes there needs to be a break. There needs to be what the child will get, whatever the child will really kind of benefit from, and that is what will make the child have a more routine. So it could be like you have a chunk of time that the child studies, but then there is at least some time where the child rejuvenates or does something else to get out of that study zone. Okay, then there needs to be a little 10 to 15-minute break where the child needs to have some water or something to again get the brain stimulated. Then again there needs to be a chunk, not more than 45 minutes. Okay, the brain does not have attention span more than that. So even if you're going to keep forcing the child to just keep studying for 2 hours, 3 hours and 5 hours, not working. Okay, break it up. Break it up into different things and break it up into different subjects. Okay, break it up so that the mind, so it's like you have English and you have, so there is a creativity aspect where English comes in, and there is like an analytical aspect where the maths or something comes in. So break up those kind of subjects, be it science or be it geography, because then the mind is really churning, and that is when the alertness of the brain will happen. Okay, so that is when you can actually make a routine where your child will benefit in those 45 minutes. The attention span is so high that it is done. Okay, whatever the child learns, it is done for a longer time. Okay, when you say, then I hope I have answered that question. I have a question from Pranay which says how to develop kids IQ level. I think IQ level, there are a lot of ways, but I mean, as we are dealing with the stress and all that, IQ could be just exposing them to a lot of things. Okay, and that is what will happen. And once you expose the child to a lot of things, the IQ automatically increases because the exposure has increased. I have how to support a friend who has not scored much as they expected. I mean, how to support a child, right? So yes, again, what tips I am giving, please talk to the child in that way. Increase the self-esteem, because I am now coming to the section where to take the direction of life. Finally, how to find the right direction, or how to find the right fit or the right career for the child, so that the child does not feel low, the child does not feel stranded, the child does not feel stagnant in life. Okay, I will take the questions a little later, because let us complete that section of direction, and I will come back to your questions. Yes, Yamini, a professional help can improve performances, academic performances, because that is what at Building Blocks of Life we do. Okay, now let's come to how you take direction, or how do you take these things further. Results are out, everything is out. Okay, if you look at yourself, okay, if you look at yourself, where you find yourself in terms of at over our times, we had people, we had just those 2-3 fields, that people who are very good or very studious could take science, people who are very good with numbers, and who had a little bit of interest in business management or anything, they could take commerce. Or if they were not good at anything, it's arts for them. And that was our way of how the fields were segregated. Right now, if you look at it, the outlook has changed much more in today's times, because apart from just the lawyer, engineer, chartered accountant, and management, MBA, there are a lot more fields which are open now. Don't you think so? Because there are so many people who are passionate about other things in life, and they give up their own career, they give up their things to pursue their passion. So do you really want your child to kind of get stressed about the career that they have chosen, and at the age of 40 then leave everything and kind of join another stream altogether, which does not really make sense for them? And all this while they have been so stressed that I have wasted so many years of my life. So when we take direction in life, or when you have to take a direction for the career, okay, it's really important to know the interest, the passions, how happy the child feels, or how successful do you really want to be to achieve that, right? Just don't make a career choice of how vulnerable, because right now the interest of the child is something, and just don't make a career choice because of that. Okay, just don't make a career choice because my friend's son is doing this, or my friend's daughter is doing this. Okay, and that is why I have to make my child become a lawyer, or I have to make my child become an engineer. Okay, look at all the engineering colleges. I mean, hardly out of, when we work with career guidance, and when we work with colleges, actually we see that they are so demotivated, they are so much out of sync, right? So if you have to really work on giving direction to the child, okay, it is just about that you can actually work much more to understand and take professional help, take professional help. So I would now recommend each parent to ask their question answers. I'm here to answer each of them, each one. So let's just get the parents' question answers there. You can ask me, I'm there. And I would just wind up with, if you require any professional help, please take it, because that's where your child will benefit from. Don't come from a bias of what you have in your mind. Yes, please. What are the questions coming up? Let the questions come out.
So Ami, I've received a personal question from a parent.
Okay.
So he is asking, how important is it for a child to indulge in extracurricular activities like playing during the exam times?
Right. It does give a lot of break, and the mind gets a little shift, because academics and sports or any extracurricular activities are two parts of the brain. So if you're just focusing on one end of the brain or one part of the brain, that brain gets very taxed. So actually it's a very good idea to balance it out, that not completely extracurricular or not completely academics, but yes, balance it out where you have at least some time of the day to go out and pursue the sport or pursue the activity the child really enjoys in. So please balance it out. Maybe say half an hour to 45 minutes a day, a good time.
Thanks, Ami, for that. Ami, there's one more question from a parent privately. So she's asking, what is the right age for a parent to expose the child to a smartphone?
I would say, see, smartphones now, you can't deny it, okay? But it's just that have them exposed to them in such a way that it does not take the thinking capability of the child. Okay, if my child is just playing Temple Run, my child is actually not thinking. Okay, so if you're going to expose it, yes, to some part of the day, say 15 to 20 minutes, but that also break it up, that you can play one game, and in the evening you can play another game. Okay, but those games or anything, look at something which is more stimulating, but not just a very mundane thing that the child will be doing. At what age? I don't think there is any age, but yes, technically plus 7-8 years is a good time, because still till about 8 years of age the right brain is still very active, so we do not want to put those kind of things right now into it. So that
so a parent is asking how to improve a child's speech.
Speech. Okay, how old is the child? Because it really depends on what the home environment is, what kind of language the child speaks at home, and what kind of language the child speaks out. So when you have to increase the speech or improve the speech in terms of the fluency, or is it the vocabulary? So if it is fluency, then yes, the child, generally if the child is not speaking, the child will be giving a lot of directions or kind of actions. So have some patience for the child to really open up, have some patience for the child to kind of come up with what the child wants to say. Okay, because parents kind of really kind of think that, okay, if the child is not speaking, let me just kind of hurry up and complete the process. But if that is the case, then give the child some time to kind of come back and tell the child that I'm waiting, you tell me, I'm waiting for you, and once you tell me, I will give you what you really want. So this slowly will enhance the fluency and the speed of the speech that the child is looking for. Otherwise, if it is the vocabulary, yes, what I do with my children is just take the dictionary, or at least find 2 words, and how we can throughout the day we use that word into different sentences, and that really increases the vocabulary or the language skills in the child.
All right, Ami. Thank you. So I think that's it. That's the questions that we have. So it was a great session, Ami. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you taking out your time from your hectic schedule and giving a parent an insight on how to cope up with exam results. I'm sure many parents have benefited from this, and we look forward again to seeing you pretty soon, Ami.
Thank you so much. Please implement the tips that are given, and do share your feedback so that we know, how you can still go on this